Assalamu alaikum. Today my topic is methods of teaching. Now before starting this topic, first we need to know what actually are the key concepts of teaching. The key concepts of the teaching are surface and deep approaches towards learning, strategic approach to learning, constructive alignment, approaches to learning vary in different learning contexts, conceptions of teaching influence teaching strategies, critical thinking, teaching approaches change according to context and teachers' belief. These are some of the concepts of the teaching that whenever you are teaching, the main important points, the main important concepts regarding teaching must be clear into your mind. Now coming towards the teaching, whenever we are teaching, we are going to deliver two types of the skills. That is the lower order skills and the higher order of the skills. The lower order thinking skills include remembering, understanding and applying, and the higher order of the thinking skills must be your analyzing, evaluating and creating. These two skills, if you remember, this is the part of the Bloom's taxonomy we had already discussed previously. Now the types of the instructions. We have two types of the instructions, direct instructions and indirect instructions. Direct instructions, what actually is meant by direct instructions? In direct instruction, a teacher usually gives information in a very explicit manner. Direct instruction is usually started with the teacher telling the students what the expectations are for their performance. For example, Mr. Garcia tells a student at the beginning of the English class that he expects the student to be able to write down their own simile by the end of the lesson. This is actually what is called as direct instruction. In other words, direct instruction can also be a deductive approach of the learning where the objectives is very well defined at the very beginning of the class. For the teaching aspect of direct instruction, teacher may stand at the front of the class and lecture the students about a specific topic. This is very common approach when we are dealing with the lecture method. So in direct type of the teaching, lecture method is the best suited example which we usually give in direct approach method. Indirect instructions is an approach to teaching and learning in which concepts, pattern and abstractions are taught in the context strategies that emphasize concepts, learning, inquiry and problem solving. That is, in direct instruction, the learner acquires information by transforming stimulus material into a response that requires the learner to rearrange and elaborate on the stimulus material. For example, inquiry method of the teaching. Now, which instruction produces what skills? Direct instructions enable students to develop the lower order thinking skills, and indirect method of the teaching enables students to develop the higher order of the thinking skills. Right? It means whenever you need to develop the lower order of the thinking skills, direct instruction is the appropriate, and if you want to develop higher order of the thinking skills, indirect instruction is appropriate. There are few strategies that is very helpful in order to develop the higher order of the thinking skills. That is, first, the students need to know that what actually is the higher order of the thinking skills. They need to know that they have to understand their own strengths and challenges. Then only they can develop the skill of higher order of thinking. The second is the student must know how to connect the concepts. Lead students through the process of how to connect one concept to other. By doing this, you are teaching them to connect what they already know with what they are learning. Teach students to infer. Do you know, inferences is very example. Give the students give the students real world examples. By only giving the practical real world example, the students, they are going to make out proper inferences. Encourage questioning. We always follow the Socratic questioning method in our teaching instructions or in teaching strategies. The thing is that we even just allow the students themselves to ask the questions. Allow them to question, allow them to answer. Give them a free pace for the question and answer sessions, then only they can learn better. Use graphic organizers. Graphic organizers, they are the type of the organizers that is usually in the form of the diagrams, mind maps, and students are able to better connect their concepts and see the relationships by using the graphic organizers. Problem solving method. The best way in order to develop the higher order of the thinking skills is to develop the method of problem solving. Give them the problem and ask to find out the solution. Like this, the higher order of the thinking skills are developed. Encourage creative thinking. The students need to encourage the creative thinking. And how you are going to encourage the creative thinking? By asking more and more questions, by inquiry skills, by problem solving skills. By doing these things, the students, they are going to have better higher order of the thinking capabilities. Use mind movies. When concepts that are being learned are hard, encourage students to create a movie in their mind. Teach them to close their eyes and picture it like a moving plane. This way of higher order thinking will truly help them to understand in a unique, powerful way. Teach students to elaborate their answers. Higher order of the thinking requires students to really understand their concepts, not repeat it or memorize. Encourage students to elaborate their answers, and this is what I repeatedly tell you in my daily classrooms, that always whenever you are writing, you have to write an elaborated answers. Don't write your answers in the bullet forms. So whenever you have to write and whenever we are going to give the questions for the higher order of the thinking skills, it needs to be an elaborated, a descriptive type of the question. Teach question and answer relationship. The answers must be in relation to the question, and the next question which you are asking, that must be related to that question. I hope this presentation is very much clear to you,